What does considering your options have to do with Israeli money? Find out today on Hebrew Vocab Boost. Welcome back to Hebrew Vocab Boost. Today I'm talking about the root Shin Kof Lamed, which has to do with weight. So we have some nouns, some verbs, an adjective, and even a city with this root. Our first words are shekel and shakel, which are both translated as shekel in the Tanakh. And this was a unit of weight and also the unit of money in biblical times. The plural is shkalim, and then there's a plural construct form, shikle, and that's best translated as shekels of, and then followed by a noun. In the modern state of Israel, they currently use the new Israeli shekel, which replaced the Israeli shekel, which is now known as the old Israeli shekel, in 1985. I have a TikTok out today where I show the coins and the bills from my trip to Israel, so check that out. And in the Tanakh, as well as in modern times, it is pretty common to use the singular word shekel, even when talking about many shekels. So, mishkal is used in the Tanakh to mean weight, as in how much something weighs. And I also found it once as mishkol with the same meaning. The word mishkal has survived into modern Hebrew, meaning the weight of something and also the instrument to measure it, scale. This is a modern scale where you step on it or put something on it, and the pressure either makes a needle move or you see a digital display of the weight. Back in biblical times, they didn't have scales like these. When business was conducted, they used a scale like this to determine how much grain or how much the weight of oil was being purchased. And this type of scale has a very different word with a different shoresh. The word is moznaim, and this comes from a shoresh that's related to ears and balance. Mishkalet and mishkolet, both used only once in the Tanakh. They both mean weight, as in something that is heavy or something that weighs a set amount used to judge the weight of something else. So it could be something that you would put on a moznaim, or something else intentionally heavy, like attached to a string so that it will hang straight down. And in modern Hebrew, this can be something heavy, or it can be like dumbbell or a barbell or a weight at the gym, anything like that. As for verbs, there is a pa'al verb, lishkol, meaning to weigh something. And my JPS Tanakh usually translates it as weigh out. So they weigh out whatever they're weighing. And sometimes they translate it as to pay a certain amount of shekels. In the Tanakh, we only see it once in this infinitive form, and then a handful of times in the perfect and imperfect tenses. And we also see a few forms of the nifal verb, lehishakel, which means to be weighed. Nifal verbs are often the passive voice of a pa'al verb. And here we can see that relationship, to weigh something or to be weighed. We never see the infinitive form lehishakel in the Tanakh. Rather, we see the perfect form nishkal and the imperfect yishakel. And so here we can see that sometimes the difference between these two verbs is only in the vowels. Take the vowels away, and you have to use context and sentence structure to know whether it's yishakel or yishkol. And both of these verbs are present in modern Hebrew as well. In modern Hebrew, lishkol can mean to weigh a thing, but it can also mean to weigh an amount. So I can say, hu shokel mea kilo, and that means he weighs 100 kilograms. But I never found that structure in the Tanakh. When I saw that they were talking about how much something weighs, they would say something more like mishkalo mea shekel, meaning literally its weight is 100 shekels. Also, in modern Hebrew, lishkol has taken on the meaning of consider, as when you are trying to make a decision about something. You're weighing the options or weighing the various factors, and you're taking everything into consideration. And so you are considering it. There are a handful of nouns that come from the verb lishkol. And one of them is shokel. And I only found this once, and it was translated as one who could weigh, as in a hypothetical person who might be able to weigh something. And shokel is the masculine singular form of what I would consider to be the present tense, but I believe biblical Hebrew learners consider this to be a participle. And so using the masculine singular participle, this is one of the common ways in Hebrew to make an agent out of a verb. So, like in English, we often put an ER on the end of a verb, and that makes the person who does something. So, somebody who teaches is a teacher, right? We put that ER. And in Hebrew, they have quite a few different ways of doing it. And one of the ways is to use this present tense or participle form of the verb. Of course, you're going to use the masculine singular if it's a masculine singular person, use the feminine singular if it's a feminine person, and so on. In modern Hebrew, we have two verbal nouns, shikul and shkila, both meaning consideration. And I am not sure what the difference in usage is. Shkila follows the normal pattern for verbal nouns of pa'al verbs. If you're not sure what a verbal noun is, this is in Hebrew, they call it shem peula. This is the noun made out of the verb. So in English, we would often put an ing on it, such as swimming is fun, right? So swimming is a verb, but it is the subject of that sentence. Swimming is fun. And so it's a verb, but it's also has the purpose of a noun in that particular sentence. And that's what I mean by a verbal noun. So each binyan has a pattern, a regular pattern, which is their method of turning that verb into the verbal noun, right? Just like all of the other various patterns for verbs. And for pa'al verbs, that the shkila it follows the regular pattern. And shikul follows the pattern of PL verbs. So it is irregular for a pa'al verb to have a verbal noun with the u vowel pattern. But it's not unheard of. There are plenty of other verbs in Hebrew that are pa'al verbs that have a shem peula that follows the same pattern. It's irregular, but it's not super uncommon. Our last word is only seen in modern Hebrew, and I've never seen it in the wild, but it is an adjective, and it is pronounced shakul, and it refers to a person who is level-headed and reasonable, one who takes the time to weigh and consider the options. And I can't leave you without mentioning the city of Ashkelon, which is one of the 5 cities of the Philistines back in biblical times, first mentioned in Joshua 13. This city is right on the Mediterranean, and so there has always been a lot of commerce going on, and in biblical times and now. And so, according to one of my teachers, it takes its name from all of the transactions that were happening in the town. When there's transactions, there's a lot of weighing happening. And this reminds me of how here in the States, we have quite a few cities called Commerce or Commerce City, City of Commerce, and kind of the same idea. So that's it for today. Now you know all about weights and scales and Israeli money. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave it in the comments and I will do my best to respond. If you want to see more about the words from this shoresh, check out my TikTok channel, Hebrew Help with Sup here. Hit like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe and press the notification bell if you want to see more. Lehitwaot bapa'am haba'ah. See you next time.